parents' diabetes were. Let's just do our little introduction. Current blood sugar, I'm sitting at 10. Um, I've been high all day. If we take a look down, you can see I went up to 20, gave myself a correction, it came down. Um, Currently have 2.975 units of active insulin in me, and if we move this along and take a look at it, time in range is 54 today. 46 above, 54 down, and average sugar in millimoles per liter is 11.4. That's not a great day, but we're all gonna have bad days. One bad day is not something to, oh my God, it's gonna be the end. Life's not gonna be worth living anymore. No, don't worry about it. You can come and you can rebound. Just may need more action, more insulin. I'd wait till the next day. They used to say that if you have problems, you could modify your insulin every 3 days. So if I noticed I had a high blood sugar, I would wait. And next day, if I still had that high blood sugar, I'd wait. And then on the third day, if we still had the high blood sugar, then we would change it only by 2 units. It changed now for a pump because right now the endocrinologist and my diabetic nurse have really taken the lead on the amount of insulin I have taken. So, what are we going to discuss today? Today I'm going to ask what my parents really knew about diabetes. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Okay, what did my parents know about diabetes? Well, my mom was pure hands-on. From day one, I went into the hospital and she was there. My father was there too. He took the day off. So we got comfortable. I was able to get TV so I could watch TV while I'm waiting for tests to be done or whatever. So that was awesome. But what my parents actually knew is interesting because I was being poked and prodded, and my family members, my brothers, my sisters, they didn't have to do this. So the doctors felt it would be a nice idea if my parents went through the same thing. So they asked my parents if A, I could give them a shot. Nice and easy. Boop. They also supplied us with needles, saline solution, alcohol swabs, and urine testing supplies. They made up a little kit for them. And for 1 week, they asked that they do everything. Now, it wasn't blood tests back then, it was urine testing. But my parents did that, and it was actually more so they would know the impact. Didn't help me a little bit later when my dad thought, oh, well, he should be up at the crack of dawn, just like he does at school, even on his days off. Then he could go back to bed. Never worked because he'd always have, oh, lots of chores left. So I never really, but in theory, it was a good. Sorry, I had something left from dinner. But I don't know if they do that now. They still concentrate on the kid. Pumps now have alleviated a lot of the worry. I don't know if I could be on shots 4 times a day. Oh, your blood sugar went up 1 point. Oh, we gotta give insulin. No. But it was really important that my parents knew the basics. And I, to this day, think that was awesome. They also did something where I had to go through a low blood sugar before I left the hospital. They had to force it on me. So my mom, my dad did all their testing, and they had a card and an envelope which said time and a place, and they were to carry this with them and open it up, and it just said your blood sugar is this amount. And they corrected it. You know, it's hard now because I guess a lot of people, oh, we're too busy. I'm too busy to do a shot. Well, you kind of expect your son or daughter to go through and get checked out. So why wouldn't you want to do this? But my parents did it. And actually, my mother took it home and she started the program, and she came back to the hospital and said his stepfather would like to do this too. So that was a big step. My stepfather and I didn't always see eye to eye. But when he did this and was taking a shot of saline every day, it kind of really, said, hey, this guy might be all right. But, okay. So, I think as I was a teenager, I guess they were worried that I was feeling left out of society. Everyone could go to a restaurant, order what the hell they want. But no, I had to make sure it fit into my diet. That it worked fine at first, and then when I went off to private school, I got in with a pediatrician. I knew he wasn't an endo, he was a pediatrician. And he was awesome. And he got me a glucometer. And at that point, we started to introduce counting carbs. And later in uh, the 80s, counting carbs became, excuse me, the premium way of watching your blood sugars and eating and taking the amount of corrective insulin as needed. And it was kind of like, if you're hungry, you can have a big meal. Just make sure you count your carbs and give your insulin accordingly. My mom never sort of embraced the concept of counting carbs. I can remember I was older, my sisters and I sat down to, I think it was Easter or Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving because I think we had pork. But, and I said, "Oh, I'd like some more," and my mother looked at me and said, "That's not the way they taught you." I said, "Well, things have changed. I count carbs and I take the extra insulin." Oh my God, you think I would have gone against the Christian belief? And I went to bed. In the morning, I was 10 something. Not too bad. But at the time when they did it, they role played it as well as they could. And my parents were a little bit, I won't want to say lenient, but they were a little bit more understanding when my blood sugars weren't going right. Now, my blood sugars have never really gone right. In here, I have blood sugars super high or super low, or days if you watch a few of these videos, you know there are days I have 100%. But they were more open and they realized the challenges. And I think that's more, I was more feeling accepted that they went through and did that. When I was learning how to give shots, they allowed me to give them shots as well. And I thought, oh God. But I had been practicing on an orange. Ooh. And I had to learn how to give myself insulin before I could go home. I had to learn my diet. We had to learn how to give myself insulin, how to exercise, all before I left. So the month of October 1977 was a complete washout. I actually don't know how I passed English. English was the big one I had, and I had remedial math. Math was never strong for me, and I can remember sitting there hoping I'd pass, and I seemed to pass. But I think it was my parents went there and described what was going on very well, that my guidance counselor knew. I think all the teachers I had knew that they should be a little bit more lenient. I don't remember ever doing finals. It wasn't until I went to private school that we had finals. Don't remember having to do that. But parents, if you can mock what your son, daughter, niece, nephew are doing, and having to do to maintain proper blood sugars, do it symbolically. All you're doing is shooting saline that your body uses anyway. Just don't do it with true insulin. You never want to do that. But the whole point of this video was to illustrate how my parents did a week of mimicking me, taking urine tests, taking blood sugars, and we joke and say, "What's your blood? Or, what's your urine reading now?" And so now I don't think that it would work back then. I had my little pump, or not pump, but just shots. Now with the pump, it's a little hard to do. But it gave everyone a strong basis of what a new diabetic is facing. And it kind of broke down any misunderstandings of what doctors expected of me, what schools expect of me, you know, all because they had to do it. And they had to check in. That was the good part. So that may work for you. And with that, we're going to call it a day. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. My email address is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. All one line. Drop me